Hello amateurs, I'm your host Tim and welcome to another episode of the Amateur Rugby Podcast. This one is a special edition as we're back. It's been quite a long break here from the Amateur Rugby Podcast. Various things got in the way, but let's take a little bit of history, shall we? The podcast started around about 2 years ago with in-person interviews to try and dig into their rugby history and sort of pick out some lessons and learnings for everybody in the rugby community and just share what our game's all about. Now obviously COVID put a bit of a halt to doing in-person interviews, so I tried out a different style. I tried out hot topics, recorded on Facebook Live with a guest every week to talk about something that was important in the game at the time. And I did enjoy doing those, but what I felt like it was just repeating lots of other podcasts. Everybody was covering the same subjects. I didn't really feel like what I was doing was unique or different. And as such, I just kind of let it fizzle away a little bit. But all the while, I was just waiting for COVID to clear up enough so I could start going out and speaking to people and doing the original interviews in the original style, which is the way that I really enjoyed. And I'm pleased to say that time is now. But along with the original style episodes, there's going to be a few different ones as well. So watch out for your feed. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, because there's going to be a few new things coming along as well. Now, isn't it great to have rugby back again? My Twitter feed has just been full of clubs posting videos and score lines and people talking about sore bodies and, just great to be back playing rugby again. So everybody that's been out playing recently, well done, congratulations, and I hope you're enjoying it. Now I'm talking to you today from the Ringwood Forest down in Dorset. It is a beautiful day today, so if you can hear some birds tweeting in the background and maybe a squirrel skittling up a tree, that's what those noises are. No need to be alarmed. And I'm out here, my last training run before the Great Rugger Run. Now if you haven't heard about the Great Rugger Run yet, it's a personal challenge that I've set for myself. I'm going to run 500 miles in 5 weeks, all the way across the country from Land's End to London, visiting rugby clubs along the way. And it's all going to be in support of 4 great mental health charities. It's no secret that mental health has taken a huge battering during COVID times, and it's been growing anyway. So I really wanted to step up and just help support those charities the best that I can. Do my little bit and raise awareness as well, because I think a lot of the times bottling these problems up or issues that people might have is not the best way of dealing with it. So I hope to raise awareness, let people know that there are organisations and people that they can talk to if they need help, and also raise a few quid at the same time. Now, like I said, it's a run across the country from rugby club to rugby club. I'd love to see some of you out there with me. Check out the route on the website. I'd love to see you at your rugby club. I'm going to be visiting and talking to people, and maybe come out and run with me. Like I said, all the information can be found on the website, which is thegreatruggerrun.org. thegreatruggerrun.org. Now, as I mentioned, one of the best ways of dealing with and finding solutions to mental health issues is to talk about them. So if I'm going to suggest that as a good option, then probably I need to do that myself. Now, there's something that I've sort of lived with constantly, I guess. It's always there in the background, which is basic social anxiety. I was an incredibly shy kid. I used to hide behind the couch whenever anybody rang the doorbell, and I'd pretty much stay there even if it was somebody that I knew that came into the house. I'm definitely on the introvert side of the scale. So these two things sort of add up, which leads me to have social anxiety. Now, it's not constant, it's not there all the time, but it just comes in and out sometimes. And I think for me, that's one of the reasons that I've kind of found it confusing or difficult to deal with throughout my life, where certain situations, or it could be the same situation, one day I'll feel entirely comfortable with, and a different day I will not want to go. I will waste a whole load of energy thinking about it and worrying about it. Sometimes I manage to talk myself around and go anyway, and other times, I just don't turn up, or I make an excuse, or whatever it is. And I've got some good examples of these actually quite recently. I've been invited to a wedding just before Christmas this year. There's going to be a load of people there that I know, and also quite a few people that I won't. And at the moment, all I feel is about that is excitement. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to get there. I think it's going to be amazing. Yet, in the same breath, a few weeks ago, I got invited to a Sunday barbecue at a really good friend's house. And I knew everybody that was going to be there. And I've known them for a long time. And yet, it took me ages to convince myself to get out of the house and go and see them, just because of this social anxiety. And I can't really explain it. It's just a feeling that I get, and it's very difficult to put into words. And it's only incredibly recently that I've kind of come to terms with it, I guess, accepted that I will probably always have these feelings. And rather than be worried about them or sort of scared about them, I just treat them like an old friend now a little bit. And I don't force myself. I don't consider myself to be silly to have these feelings. So if I don't want to go to somewhere, or the feelings are too strong, then I won't go. But most importantly, I don't beat myself up about it anymore. It's taken a long time, and it's definitely still a work in progress. But I think it definitely is progress. The other thing about this is, it's not the biggest problem. I understand that people are going through much harder things and much more difficult things. So a lot of the fact that I've probably never ever spoken about this is just a reflection of that I didn't want to burden anybody or make it out that it's something bigger than it is. But I definitely feel that talking about things helps. It helps clear your mind. It helps because I think I felt a bit of shame about it. Shame about feeling that way and not quite sure what was going on. Doing a little bit of research into it, I realised that actually social anxiety is one of the most common mental health complaints or mental health issues. So just hearing that made me realise that I'm not alone, and probably there's quite a few of you listening to this that have similar feelings or the same. And I guess one of the other reasons why I'm saying this now is because the Great Rugger Run is going to be 35 days of constantly new, changing, dynamic social situations. I'm going to be meeting people, new people as well, almost every day. And whilst running 500 miles is a massive challenge and something that is going to be super tough, I think actually dealing with all the social situations on that constant basis might actually be the bigger challenge for me. That's probably what I'm nervous about. It's a nervous energy, but it's a good nervous energy. That kind of energy you get on the morning of a game where you're not quite sure how the game's going to go, but you want to do it, you want to be there. It's just sucking all that up and hopefully putting the best foot forward. So yes, the Great Rugger Run. This podcast episode is going to be going live on the start date of the Great Rugger Run, which is Sunday, 19th of September, kicking off from Land's End at 10 a.m. I'd love you to come along for the ride, whether you can do that in person or on the social media. Follow along and try and support if you can. As I said, starting in Land's End, finishing at Old Colfians Rugby Club in southeast London on the 23rd of October, travelling up through Devon and Cornwall, through Somerset, all the way up to Bristol, then down through Bath, all the way down to the south coast, around the Bournemouth area, then up towards Henley, and then into West London, and finishing, like I said, at Old Colfians on the 23rd of October. There's going to be all kinds of content coming out on the social media. I'm going to be doing live interviews every day on the road with people that come and run with me, meeting people at the clubs. The live stuff's going to be going on Facebook. There's going to be loads of stuff on Instagram as well, more photos there, and everything, all the live updates in terms of where I'm at and all that kind of stuff is going to be on Twitter. That is at the Great Rugger Run on Instagram and Facebook, and at Rugger Run on Twitter. And everything all together can be found at thegreatruggerrun.org. And if you wish to donate to these 4 great mental health charities, Blokes, Brave Mind, Give a Ruck and Looseheads, then there's a donation link on there to the Just Giving page. And I hope to see you on the Great Rugger Run. Now, this is the Amateur Rugby Podcast though. So, like I said, I will be meeting people on the run. I will be recording podcast interviews. So if you know somebody that's on the way, on my route, then it would be great if you could put them in contact with me. I'd love to interview as many people as I can while I'm going, social anxiety permitting, of course. And I've already lined up some incredible guests that I can't wait to share with you, with some amazing rugby stories, going back through the years, but also some very modern stories as well. So if you're not following the podcast, it's AM Rugby Podcast on Twitter and Facebook, and Amateur Rugby Podcast on Instagram. And of course, again, everything can be found on the website, amateurrugbypodcast.com. But as I always say, the social media, the digital stuff, that's all great. But what I'd really like is if you mention it to someone in person the next time you're down your local rugby club. And as always, get out and play.